We're talking today with Dan Casciano, President and CEO of Elite Sportswear. Dan, thanks for taking time today.
Thank you very much for being here.
You were in the news recently for a new partnership with Cirque Du Soleil. Is that a kind of collaboration a part of your company strategy?
Well, it's a great question because Elite Sportswear has the world's leading brand in gymnastics apparel, which is GK. And we always try to align ourselves with the best brands, the best names in the world. And Cirque Du Soleil is certainly one of those companies that has an incredibly well-known brand. It's well-known in terms of based the quality of their performances, the quality of their athletes, and so forth. So anytime we have an opportunity to hook up with a brand such as that, we always would like to take that opportunity. Just goes in line with that is our recent relationship with Under Armour. We've struck an 8-year deal with Under Armour to produce leotards for them for the national team in Olympics. So it's those kind of strategies that do work for us and work for the company.
Do you supply gymnastics apparel for colleges?
We certainly do. We supply gymnastics apparel for colleges for many different countries. We did for the Olympics, for example. There were about a dozen countries that were in our gymnastics apparel. But yes, many different colleges and universities are in our stuff.
Is it competitive? I mean, I would think there's a ton of, for example, colleges you could potentially do business with. Are there other gymnastics apparel makers out there knocking on doors right next to you?
Absolutely. There's a lot of competition in our business, and every day we're certainly aware of that. What we try to do is we pride ourselves as having the best fit, the best design, the best produced gymnastics apparel in the world. So that's how we try to keep ahead of the competition. But yes, it is very competitive out there.
Where do you make your apparel?
All of our competitive apparel is made right here in Reading, Pennsylvania, in this facility.
No overseas productions?
We do produce. We have a value type line of warm-ups that are actually made in Southeast Asia. We also have a line of sort of value type leotards that are made in Mexico. But all of the competitive apparel, everything you see on the teams, high quality stuff is made right here.
For the, not to dwell on the overseas stuff, but that's always interesting to me. First of all, how do you given what happened in Bangladesh recently, how closely do you monitor the working conditions and the environmental standards and all of that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for example, when we have apparel made, for example, in Mexico, I've been down at that facility. We have one of our employees is at that facility probably every other week. It's a beautiful facility. The people are great people. It's very well run, and so we're very cognizant of that, and always want to make sure that anywhere where we have work being done, that they maintain the same high standards that we do right here in Reading, Pennsylvania.
How many people do you have working here?
We have approximately 400. It depends on the seasonality of the business, or seasonality of the year, but it's roughly around 400.
So there's some ebb and flows to the production cycle for you.
It is very cyclical.
What's the busy time?
Busy time on the production side would be from, say, September through January. Probably our biggest months are October and November.
And what kind of jobs predominantly are they?
Well, we certainly have a lot of sewers, and but along with sewers, we do a lot of embellishments on the leotards. For example, we put a lot of Swarovski elements on our leotards. In fact, we're North America's largest. We're the largest customer of Swarovski elements in North America. So we have a lot of people putting jewels on leotards, a lot of heat transfers, that type of thing.
Swarovski elements? Is that
Swarovski.
Swarovski. Mm-hmm. Is that just the glittery stuff?
That's the glittery. That's the crystals, if you will.
Okay. Do you have any trouble finding skilled workers for this, or is it not a highly skilled manufacturing job, the sewing jobs?
Well, we certainly do have our share of concerns about getting skilled workers. In fact, we've been working with Votech schools. We've been working with some of the people at the Reading Economic Partnership to try to work with them to see how we can get people that are trained and more suitable for the positions that we have open. So the skills gap, and I'm sure you've read a lot about that, it's a very real issue out there, and it's a real issue for Berks County as well.
Do you have jobs open right now?
Certainly, yes.
All right, so any given time, are you essentially always hiring, or?
If we have an opportunity to hire some qualified sewers right now, we certainly would.
Reading's got a long history of sewing business here, textiles. Generally speaking, is this an area that's considered a good place to find skilled workers in sewing specifically?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look back at the history of Berks County, the apparel manufacturing has been a very stable part of our businesses and so forth. Over the years, many of those businesses have gone out of business, and as those workers age and retire and so forth, we're not backfilling with younger generation. For example, Fessler was the latest one that went out of business. There were about 150 workers up in the Orwigsburg area.
That's right.
We certainly looked to hire whoever we could on the sewing side, and did hire some. But again, as people age and with not replacing with younger talent, it makes it more difficult, to keep the hiring going.
So what's the best place to find workers when you need them?
Well, in our case, I mean, what we're doing is quite a bit of advertising, whether it's in the newspapers, whether it's getting the word out through the vocational schools, whether it is, we've even had some going to some of the ethnic churches and so forth. We've certainly gone out and tried to hire as much as we can.
Dan, I'll let that be the last word. Thanks again for taking time today.
Well, thank you very much. Take care, and thanks for coming.
Sure.